Hey friends, welcome back to Digitalk. In this session, we are going to cover the introduction to Kubernetes. Okay, in this session, we are going to cover what exactly is Kubernetes, what it does, and what is the relation of Kubernetes with the containers. So, in the future sessions, okay, we will cover in detail about the Kubernetes, including what is container, how it works, how it related with the Kubernetes. So, but session is specifically for the beginners. Okay, if you would like to start on the Kubernetes and you do not know anything about Kubernetes, what it does. Okay, for that, this is a session for you, which will give you a high level overview of this Kubernetes. Okay, so the Digitalk Udemy course on Kubernetes will also supposed to be launched by the end of December. Okay, you can keep watching the digitalksystems.com. Okay, where you will get the complete information about the course. Okay, so let us begin with the introduction to Kubernetes. So the first definition, when you go for the Google, okay, you search for the Kubernetes, what you will heard is that Kubernetes, also known as K8s, is an open source software or open source system for automating deployment, scaling, and management of containerized applications. Okay, the first thing you should aware about that, the Kubernetes, also known as K8s. Okay, this is also referred as K8s. Second, it is an open source system. Okay, this is not a proprietary solution. It is open source, so you can freely download, okay, and use in your environment, whether it is a development, production, or any environment. Okay, but it has a limitations as just like we have for other open source software systems. You will not have a support for that one. If you encountered any issues or any kind of a bugs, so you have to go for the communities to get the solution. You will not get the professional support from any organization. Okay, that's why the open source systems are not really preferable for the production environments. Right. And now, so this K8s, which is a Kubernetes and open source system, is used for automating deployment, scaling, and management of containerized applications. Now, what this Kubernetes is doing is it is doing the management of complete end-to-end management of containerized applications. Now, the first question will arise in your mind after that is what is containerized application? Right. So that means if you are going to learn the Kubernetes, okay, the first thing that you have to learn before learning the Kubernetes, what is containerized applications or actually what is containers. Okay, because this Kubernetes is specifically going to manage your Kubernetes or your containerized applications, right? So you have to learn what exactly are the containers. And now if you go to learn the containers, okay, the definition that you will get, a container is a package of software that include everything an application needs to run, include its code, dependencies, libraries, and runtime, right? So what it is saying, container is a package of software. That means it is a bundle of software and including all of its dependencies. Okay, that application need to run including its code, dependencies, libraries, and runtime. So this container we are going to cover in detail in the next sessions. But as of now, what you have learned that if you are going to learn the Kubernetes, which is an open source software which is used for the management of containerized applications. So for that, it is must to have understanding of the containers. And what exactly is a container? What you have understand as of now is that it is a you can say it is a package of different kind of a software or your applications, including their dependencies. Okay, for example, I will give one example that when we develop any softwares, okay, or maybe we when we install the softwares and then we deploy our multiple applications on top of our softwares, then there are multiple dependencies, right, on that. For example, you may have dependencies on the multiple operating system libraries. Okay, many times it has happened that when we run our applications, when we install the software, there we get a problem that, oh, this particular library is missing, this OS library is missing, or maybe we forgot to add some of our application specific libraries in the path. Okay, so this kind of issues we get. So container is including everything. That means it will include your software, it will include your code, and then it will include your all of the dependencies as a package so that you can transfer the container from one operating system to other operating system, okay, easily, and you will not get such kind of a problems. Okay, and you can just copy and these containers from one system to other system. There's a process for that that we are going to learn in the future sessions. Okay, but what you have to learn as of now is that container is a package which contain your everything, your software applications and their corresponding dependencies, right? So when we are transferring the container from one operating system to other operating system, you don't need to install and configure your applications or software from the scratch because it is already there in the container. Right. Otherwise, what you will do if suppose I will tell you that okay, today you have a two node of your application and your load is going to be increased in the future, you need to have a third node as well. to increase the capacity. So you again have to go for the provisioning of the machines and then installation of the software and then your complete end-to-end customization and deployment of your application, right? But if you have a container, then these kind of things are not required. So this we are going to cover in the future sessions. So what we have learned so far as of now is that Kubernetes, which also known as K8s, is an open source system, right? What we use it for automating deployment, scaling, and management of containerized applications. And now, what is a container? Container is a software package which include your software applications and all of its dependencies. Right. So now container is again a separate software or application, you can say. Okay, or you can say it is a software package. Okay, so I'm sure you heard about the Docker. So what exactly is Docker? So Docker is a software platform that allow you to build, test, and deploy applications quickly using containers. Right. So that means the container we have discussed some time back, which is a package of your software which include applications on all the dependencies. Okay, for that you need a platform. That means you need a software which support the creation and management of the containers. Okay, and Docker is one of the platform for the containerized applications, or you can say for the creation of the containers, right? So the first thing that you have learned before you are going to learn the Kubernetes about the containers, and Docker is one of the most popular containerized solution. But this is not allowed. So while Docker remains one of the most popular containerized solutions, several other containers, runtime, and tools are frequently used as alternative or complements to Docker. So that means Docker is one of the most popular containerized solution. But apart from that, you have multiple other solutions as well, which you can use in place of the Docker as well. Some of them are Containerd, CRIO, Bodman, LXC, which is a feature of Linux. And then from managed cloud service providers, you have a Amazon ECS, which is called the Elastic Container Service. Similarly, from other cloud service providers, you have multiple other container service. Okay, but Docker remains one of the most popular containerized solutions. So if you are going to learn the Kubernetes and before that the prerequisites, you have to learn the containers. So I would recommend you go for the learn of the Docker containers. Okay, you can easily install it on the Linux, you can easily install on your Windows machine, and then you can run the different kind of a command to get a hands-on on that, which we are going to cover in the future sessions. Right. And now once you have learned about the Docker containers or maybe some other containers, on top of that, you have to learn the Kubernetes. Right. So now what this Kubernetes is doing, at the base level, you have a Docker containers. Okay, that means you may have a multiple containers. When you talk about the professional environments, especially in the productions where you have a horizontal scaling of the applications across multiple virtual machines or physical servers, along with that, you may have a testing, development, quality, and some other environment. So you have a n number, or you can say uncountable number of containers. Right. So now, if you have this such huge number of containers, then you need something to manage that containers as well. Right. So for management of that end-to-end containers, we have a Kubernetes. This Kubernetes is used to management of the containers. Now, if you go to the first definition again, it is an open source system for automating deployment, scaling, and management of containerized applications. So what Kubernetes is doing, it is itself is not a solution for development of any applications or software. It is not a software for such kind of a purpose. It is only an orchestration tool which is used for end-to-end management of the containers. Okay, it is automatically, so that this will automatically create the containers for you. It will do the scaling. If suppose that your load is going to be increased in the future, you today you have two containers, in maybe in tomorrow you need to two more containers or maybe four containers. It can easily spin the containers for you in a few fraction of second of a minute of a time. Okay, and then that means you are doing the end-to-end management of the your containerized application with the help of Kubernetes. So what you learn about Kubernetes here, it is a orchestration tool which is used for the end-to-end management of the containers, right? So let us talk about the Kubernetes and container, and then we will discuss about all the features. Okay, what your Kubernetes support. Okay, so Kubernetes, let me come to definition again. So Kubernetes, also known as K8s, is an open source system of automating deployment, scaling, and management of containerized applications. So what does it mean? Kubernetes, as I said, is an orchestration tool. Okay, it is used for the management of the containers. Now, maybe you suppose that you have a six containers, okay, as of today. So this all six containers can be managed with the help of Kubernetes. That means maybe you need to start the container, you need to stop the containers, you need to delete the containers. Tomorrow you need to create few more containers. You need the scaling of the containers. Tomorrow, today you have a six. Tomorrow you need eight or 10. You need the scaling of the containers. You want to create few more containers. So these kind of operations that you can do with the help of Kubernetes. So Kubernetes support the clustering feature. Okay, where you can have a multiple containers in terms of the pod. Okay, and then you can scale your cluster, and that cluster can be managed with the help of Kubernetes commands or Kubernetes internal component or tool that is installed when you go for the setup of the Kubernetes. Okay, so in the future videos or in our digital course as well, we are going to cover everything in step by step. What is the Kubernetes, what is the containers, how we set up the local Kubernetes environment in our local PCs, for example, in Windows, to get the end-to-end knowledge of the Kubernetes, where you can run the complete end-to-end hands-on and commands, and then exercise and labs. So I am going to publish in the Digitalk Udemy course, and as well as in the future videos of my YouTube channel as well. Okay, so now if we talk about automated deployment and scaling, so Kubernetes can automatically deploy containers across cluster of servers, monitor the health of applications, and scale resources up or down as needed. That means, suppose that today you have a six containers, your Kubernetes is managing your six containers. Tomorrow you need the two more containers, container 7 and 8. Okay, so that your Kubernetes cluster can easily spin. Okay, and now because as I said, container is a package of your softwares, applications, and all of the dependencies. Okay, so you don't need to build it from the scratch. You don't need to install the software. You don't need to then your setup, your configure your applications, deploy your applications, then do the manual configurations, and you have to comply with the dependencies of applications. So that you don't need to do. Okay, what you need to do is, you already have six containers. You can pick up any one of the containers, or you can take it from the backup container as well, and you can spin up the new containers within a few minutes. Okay, and your new containers will be ready to cater the load of your application needs. This is called the automated deployment and scaling. Okay, and maybe tomorrow you don't need the six or eight containers. Maybe you have a certain kind of a load at a peak time of in a day or in a month of time, but rest of the time your the utilization is very low. So you can spin down your containers as well to save your resource cost. Okay, so this way this scaling works. You can scale up or scale down according to your requirements with the help of Kubernetes cluster. Right. Now, load balancing and service discovery. Now, for example, that you, as I said, today you have a six containers. Okay. So now you need a certain kind of a load balancing feature, right? For example, if the some you have multiple users are accessing your applications, and all the applications are same application has been deployed in your all six containers. So they have to take the load in equal proportion, right? It doesn't, we should not be in a situation where any one of the container are taking 60-70% of load, and then there is no load on the rest of the containers, right? So you have to make sure the load is properly balanced across your all the containers. So in that case, you can use the Kubernetes, okay, for the load balancing as well. Okay, for example, if you have a six containers and any user trying to access the application, okay, so the request will go to first container, second request will go to second container, third request will go to third container, and similarly fourth, fifth, and sixth request will go to sixth container, and after that again the next request will go to container one. So this is called the load balancing, and this is in round robin. So there are multiple topologies for the configurations of the load. Okay, but this is the basic topology, which is called the round robin technology or topology. Okay, so your Kubernetes can work as a load balancing solution as well, okay, which can distribute the load across the multiple containers. Now self-healing. So Kubernetes restart failed containers, replace or kill unresponsive ones, and reschedule containers when node in the cluster go down. Now this is one of the feature of the Kubernetes. For example, if you have a six container, okay, and tomorrow suppose that there is a problem with one of the container, it is not responding due to any reasons, or it may get crash, or whatever the reason it is not responding. So your Kubernetes automatically check the health of the containers, okay, and then it will automatically spin up a new container instead of that which is just crashed or not responding due to any reasons. Okay, so that means it is doing the self-healing as well. Right. Now, automated rollout and rollback. So when deploying new version of application, Kubernetes can gradually replace containers while monitoring their health, ensuring that changes don't disrupt the overall application. Rollback to previous state are also easy if issues are detected. So that means, for example, you have a six containers and the version of application is V 1.0. You are on a 1.0. Tomorrow you are going to roll out the new version of the application. Okay, so what you need to do, you need to go, you don't need to go for a complete downtime of your applications because you have multiple containers. So what you can do, you can gradually deploy your new version to the different containers. For example, you can start the deploying from container one, then you can deploy to container two, then you can deploy to container number three, and subsequently one by one, you can deploy your new version to the other containers as well. Right. So this is, you can say that you are, what you are doing is you are deploying the applications gradually. Okay, one by one or each container, and this is not going to interrupt your application. Okay. And suppose if you would like to go for a rollback, if you found that any issues with the application which you have deployed with 2.2, and you found any issues with that, then you can easily roll back the application. What you need to do, you just need to roll back the containers. Okay, so that means your applications, software, dependencies, everything inside the container. And whenever you have a container that is need to be apply in your environment, you can easily that you can apply, roll back, delete, create, manage. Okay, with the help of Kubernetes. Right. And similarly, one more feature of is the storage orchestration. So, okay, so when I'm saying that containers are the lightweight, okay, and it include your complete software and dependencies, and you can easily delete, create the containers anytime. Okay, so if I'm deleting a container, that means everything which is inside the containers will also get deleted when we delete the container. Right. So what will happen in that case? You need a certain kind of a mechanism that certain kind of a files, directories, you need to be persist. Okay, that should not be get deleted where your container is deleted. Okay, that still need to be there. And where your new container will spin up, it should reference that directory again, which is there. Right. So in that case, what you can do, there is a storage orchestration solution as well, which is called the PSPV or PVC in the Kubernetes, which is called the persistent volumes. Okay, so what you can do, you can have a directory at your file system level. Okay, for example, your machine in which your Docker system and your Kubernetes are installed, or it could be a network file system, shared file system as well. Okay, so you can mount that directory to each and every container, which is called the persistent volume. There is a process for that, and we are going to cover that in future solutions. Okay, so now what will happen that this particular directory will be available for each and every containers. Okay, and now irrespective of the containers availability, you can delete any of the container and you can start and create any of the container anytime. This directory will persist at the OS level. Okay, and then whenever your new containers is spin up, it will automatically mount it to that particular container. Okay, so this is called the persistent volumes and storage orchestration in your Kubernetes. So this is the high level overview of what exactly Kubernetes, what it does, and a small overview of the containers as well. Okay, and what are the features of the Kubernetes? Okay, so if you would like really would like to have a master of the Kubernetes, then keep in touch with us. You can subscribe for our channel. Okay, and shortly we are going to release few more videos on Kubernetes. Thank you.